going to switch us over to some of the things that Paul has brought up in his book in Chapter 7, A Youthful Caution, Age of the Solar System, the lifetime of short-period comets, the extinction of interplanetary dust, heat output of the gas giant planets, heat output of Io, Jupiter's moon, planetary rings, the gradual movement of the moon away from the Earth. Paul, feel free to go ahead and talk to us about those.
So I'll do my best just to briefly summarize these. So firstly, comets. Comets are basically icy objects that orbit the sun. They're conventionally thought to be the same age as the solar system, so they're thought to be primordial material left over from the formation of the solar system. Every time a short period comet orbits around the sun and comes close to the sun, material is vaporized from the comet, so it loses mass. I think they typically lose about 10% of their mass on each orbit past the sun. And we basically can work out, therefore, how long can these comets survive? How many passages around the sun can they survive? And it turns out that time scale is probably limited to only thousands of years.
Okay.
So we have a discrepancy between the purported age of the comets as material left over from the formation of the solar system, which is meant to be 4.6 billion years ago, and the lifetime of the comets, which is measured in thousands of years.
And you don't think the Kuiper Belt would be a sufficient explanation because...
Well, the Kuiper Belt certainly exists, so we can... the Kuiper Belt is a kind of belt of icy objects beyond the orbit of Neptune, and we've been able to image many of these objects, so we know they're there. And the idea is that every now and then the Kuiper Belt is perturbed, and so new comets are kind of brought into the inner solar system. The question is that
have enough resources?
Yes, is it sufficient to explain
comets for the supposed age of the solar system?
Yeah, and that's very questionable. So.
Okay.
So comets appear to point to a younger age of the solar system. The second evidence was about the extinction of interplanetary dust. So basically we have a huge amount of microscopic dust in the solar system, and some of that dust is being produced by collisions, disintegration of comets, as we've just been talking about, collisions between solar system objects. But we also have processes that are getting rid of the dust that is spiraling down towards the sun, and in other ways being lost from the solar system. And when you kind of do a calculation to work out the production rate versus the extinction rate, then it looks as if the solar system has too much dust in it to be any older than tens of thousands of years at most.
Okay.
So that's that second evidence. And then we have the heat output of the gas giant planets, and also the heat output of Jupiter's moon Io. So let's think, for example, about Jupiter's moon Io. There are 4 Galilean moons of Jupiter. Io is one of them, and Io is a very active solar system body, so we know that it's volcanically active. We've been able to sort of image volcanic plumes on the surface of Io, and it's generating a lot of heat. And the question is, why is a small body like Io so far from the sun? Why is it so active? Because it's small enough that it ought to be cold and dead by now, if it's 4.5 billion years old. So the solution that is proposed is that it's actually its internal heat is generated and maintained by tidal squeezing. So as Io orbits around Jupiter, there are gravitational forces acting on it that kind of squeeze Io, and that generates heat. And so this is the solution. However, there are some problems with that explanation. It doesn't seem to generate enough heat. So again, It could be that Io simply has heat left over from the time of its formation, in which case Io must be relatively young. And then what was the other one? We talked about planetary rings.
If we switch over here, there's planetary rings, and there's gradual movement of the moon away from the Earth.
Sure. So planetary rings, for example, we obviously think of Saturn, the ringed planet. So we have this flat disk-like region around Saturn made up of all this sort of dust and ice, these dust and ice particles. And I think it's now sort of widely recognised that Saturn's rings have to be relatively young, that you can't sustain a ring system of that kind for the age of the solar system.
Okay.
And so even in conventional in conventional science, Saturn's ring system is thought to have formed relatively recently.
Okay.
And of course, Saturn's ring system is not unique. We have other bodies in the solar system that also have ring systems. And so, either we live in a young solar system, which allows us to see these ring systems, or we have to be living at an extremely special time in the history of the solar system when all of these things just happen to have formed recently.
Okay.
So that's that argument. And then I think the final one was about the rate of recession of the moon from the Earth. So we know that the moon is receding from the Earth. It's gradually moving further away from the Earth, and at an increasing rate.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can extrapolate that back in time and say, well, how long ago would it have been that the moon was so close to the Earth that it would have just been torn apart by tidal forces? And that actually turns out to be considerably less than the age of the solar system, the purported age of the solar system. So again, it's another argument that the solar system, and in particular the Earth-Moon system, may be younger than the conventional model suggests.
Right. Is the Oort cloud or supposed Oort cloud something that has not been observed?
I don't know what the latest is on the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is, as I understand it, and I'm not an astronomer, but I think it's thought to be the source of long-period comets as opposed to the short-period comets that are sourced from the Kuiper Belt.
Okay.
For a long time, people said, well, the Oort cloud was entirely hypothetical, and there was no direct observational evidence of the Oort cloud. I'm not sure whether that's true today, so I need to do a bit of investigation myself.
Thank you for listening. Credible Faith is a global missions-minded apologetics ministry with content available in 7 different languages across 7 websites: German, Russian, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. If you would like to support the global apologetics work of Credible Faith, go to crediblefaith.org and click on the donate icon. If you would like me to give an apologetics workshop or participate in a debate at your university, or if you would like me to give a Great Commission missions conference or apologetics conference at your church, get in touch with me through the Contact Us section of the Credible Faith website. You can also submit a request through the website to get Credible Faith's monthly email. If you are a native speaker of Russian, German, Italian, French, Spanish, or Portuguese, and if you notice that an essay from the English website is not available on the Credible Faith website for your language, feel free to get in touch with me about translating the essay, and I would read through your translated material for quality control and the desire to see content from the essay made available in your language. Thank you for listening, and have a great night.